Hello, this is Frances, welcoming you to the 1912th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline, the 11th of July 2013. The readers this week are Elizabeth, Angela, Malcolm and Frances, with Dave on the controls and Audrey in the room. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette, Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breyer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include Postal Service is a mess, Politicians choke on McDonald's bid, Clegg embraces changes while MPs call a halt to the closures at Chase Farm, and flood defences will make homes safer. First of all, a couple of special news items. One is the Enfield Talking newspaper is holding its AGM on Monday, the 29th of July, at the Park Avenue Centre from 7:30 until 9 p.m. There are lots of things to talk about, and our chairman, Philip Dawson, will be outlining all the ways the paper and the magazine are moving forward. Please come along and join in and have a cup of tea. We look forward to seeing you, and any costs incurred by using taxis will be reimbursed by Robin, our treasurer. And then I think we've read before about the Living with Sight Loss course, which is in London, a 6-week course run by Action for Blind People. Provisional dates are the 17th of July, 4th of September and the 30th of October. The course will cover your emotional well-being, getting out and about, practical skills for everyday life, using technology, making the use of your leisure time and looking after your eyes. To find out more, contact 0207 391 2151 or email actionlondon, or one word, ampersand, that's the sort of way you do and, SE, that's all one word, at actionforblindpeople, all one word, .org.uk. I'm sorry, that's probably not very clear. Might be easier to phone on 0207 391 2151. If you're experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. And now Malcolm will read the first item of local news.
A cafe that has been the focus of complaints about noise has been refused a licence to serve alcohol. Funky Lounge in Green Lanes, Palmer's Green, submitted an application to become a late-night coffee shop selling alcohol until 11:30 p.m. During the Enfield Borough Council licensing subcommittee meeting, a representative of the ice cream bar said the owners would alter the closing times to 10 p.m. in order to comply with conditions established by the council. But councillors Derek Levy, George Sava and Elaine Hayward were not confident that previous complaints this year under different tenants would be resolved and refused the application. The lounge itself does not need a licence to serve coffee and ice cream as it did until 2011 under the tenancy of Christina Teixeira. Since then, however, ownership has changed hands and complaints arose about noise, resulting in the tenants being removed in May 2013 and leading to management being handed back to Ms. Teixeira.
Plans for a new McDonald's restaurant in New Southgate have been slammed by Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows and councillors from rival political parties. Mr Burrows and Conservative councillor for Southgate Green, Henry Lamprecht, staged a protest in Bowes Road last week. It came after they had learned that the fast food giant had applied for planning permission from Enfield Council to open a new 2-storey restaurant and drive-through. The Tory duo said that a McDonald's restaurant would cause traffic congestion in the area to increase and that the new fast food outlet would be too near the schools in the surrounding area. Both Broomfield School in Wilmer Way and Bowes Primary School in Bowes Road are located close to the proposed site. Mr Burrows, a governor at Broomfield School, said, "This is absolutely the wrong place for a McDonald's. We want the area to be regenerated and a McDonald's would downgrade the area. We want this to be a place where people come to and not just drive through. A McDonald's is the last thing we need here. Mr. Lamprecht added that the application rendered the North Circular Action Plan, the Council's framework to regenerate the area around the North Circular Road, basically meaningless. He said the new McDonald's would be next to a secondary school and near a primary school. They could not think of a worse place to build it. Alan Sitkin, Labour councillor for Bowes Ward, also opposes the plans. He said, "In Enfield, we are distressed about the high level of childhood obesity, and we have a council policy which prevents having fast food outlets next to schools. The space could be used for amenities with greater community benefit." A McDonald's spokesperson said, "Our main priority is to be a good neighbour, and we will continue to work closely with any members of the community who have concerns about the impact of our business. We want to invest in New Southgate, and a new McDonald's restaurant could create at least 75 full and part-time jobs for the area." McDonald's already has 3 outlets in a 1.5-mile radius of Bowes Road, in High Road, Wood Green, Green Lanes, Palmer's Green, Pegasus Way and Bowes Park. The application is expected to go before the Council's Planning Committee next month. Residents can contact the Council about planning applications until Monday.
An Enfield MP has written to the Health Secretary with concerns about the possible downgrading of Chase Farm Hospital. Enfield North MP Nick Dubois has expressed once more his concerns about the closure of Chase Farm Hospital's accident and emergency and maternity ward. Excuse me. Independent monitors Hygiene found that population projections in the Barnet-Enfield-Haringey BEH strategy, which recommends downgrading the hospital, were not in line with the rise in population. In the letter, Mr. Dubois said, "With the BEH strategy being based on worryingly inaccurate population projections and promised improvements to primary care certain to be unfulfilled by November, I therefore wish to urge you once again to halt the downgrade of Chase Farm Hospital and to review the BEH strategy." The report suggested that the population would increase from 283,000 to 286,000 by 2015. However, due to a surge in numbers, the 2011 population stood at 314,000, 28,000 more than projected for 2 years' time. And this is something Mr. Dubois believes is a huge misjudgment. He said, "I believe that we've got this situation where more and more people in the NHS are being funneled to A&E, not because they want to go there, but because there is no choice. We haven't got primary care sorted out, and now is not the time to downgrade hospitals. That's the point I've been making and will continue to make." Meanwhile, Edmonton MP Andy Love also aired his concerns over the move as one of a number of Labour MPs who have sent letters to the Health Secretary about the pressures on accident and emergency services across London. A decision on the closure of Chase Farm Hospital's A&E department is due to be made in September. However, at all London hospitals, there's been an increase in people waiting in A&E for more than 4 hours. Mr. Love said North Middlesex Hospital is under enormous pressure, with people in Upper Edmonton suffering longer waiting times as a result. Yet the Health Secretary seems intent on closing A&Es across London, seriously adding to the problem. The Health Secretary needs to think again. We need a clear plan to tackle the pressures London hospitals are facing. It's time Londoners' voices were heard.
Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg has defended hospital reconfigurations in London, pointing to the clinical need for change at a time when the health service is faced with an ageing population. In an exclusive interview with The Advertiser during a visit to Highgate Wood School in Haringey last week, the Liberal Democrat leader was asked whether or not Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt, who announced a review of emergency care last month, should halt all plans to close A and E units in the capital until that review has been completed. Mr Clegg said, "From my experience as an MP in my constituency in Sheffield, I know that everyone is, quite rightly, protective of the NHS, and in their area often people don't want anything changed. I understand and share that sentiment myself, but of course times move on, and the health needs of a population change. Medical costs increase, and we have the growing issue of an ageing population. We have increasing pressure on hospital beds, particularly from those with long-term illnesses. Meanwhile, there are problems with GP out-of-hours services, leading to more and more people accessing accident and emergency, when in an ideal world they would be using primary care services in a community setting. All these issues are linked, and I don't think anyone should be surprised that it is being looked at by those leading the NHS all the time. Where there are proposals to change things, and when doctors and clinicians believe there are clinical reasons to put more money in one thing and less money in another, I think people should embrace change. But it is important that people locally are given a proper chance to make their own views known."
Here's the headline item about the postal service that I forgot to read last time around. A woman who suffered from cancer missed out on crucial letters about her illness when a post office mix-up meant that her mail was delivered to an empty house. Louisa Cook, 29, of Fairfield Close, has been in remission since being diagnosed with cancer last autumn. But she's been receiving irregular deliveries of her post in the last 18 months, with many letters going to other residents or to an empty house in the area, causing her to miss crucial appointments, bank statements and other deliveries. The party planner said, "We started noticing when important bank statements, gift vouchers and hospital appointments were missing, and we then got phone calls about unpaid bills we had no idea about. The whole thing is a mess. It's been a ridiculous amount of hassle trying to get all our posts from different houses and homes that are unoccupied. Someone is receiving our bank details, and there has been fraud on our account. We even received letters from Gloucestershire, which proves that this is happening all over the country. It's not fair that our post is being chucked around like a football." Pardon me. Herberitus Santos, 30, who lives in Fairfield Estate, said he is incensed by the intermittent deliveries he receives. He said, "Sometimes we have good weeks, sometimes there is no mail delivered. We had 5 or 6 letters at the unoccupied house when it was last checked. Who knows where our post goes or if anything will be done about it?" Another resident said, "I discovered post at a house in Fairfield Close from 4 months ago that should have been delivered to me on time. The consequences of having misplaced mail has proven to be costly when it comes to repayments." Royal Mail apologised for the service and requested that any residents who have experienced problems should log their complaints with the company. Valerie Antoine from Royal Mail said, "Pardon me, we're sorry that the customer has not had the high quality of service they expect and deserve from Royal Mail. Every item of mail is important to us, and staff have been reminded about the importance of correct delivery. If anyone does have concerns, we would urge them to contact our customer services team on 08457 740 740. That's 08457 740 740, or via the website at royalmail.com with the full details of any specific incidents so that the complaint can be properly logged and investigated."
A free fun day will mark the completion of a project to rejuvenate a tatty open space. The Holmesdale open space on the Enfield and Broxbourne border has received a £280,000 makeover and now offers a sensory garden, an orchard, outdoor seating area, community artwork, flowers and shrubs, and a wildflower meadow planted by local residents and school children. Enfield and Broxbourne Borough Councils worked with the Highways Agency to complete the improvements, while funding was also provided by Natural England. The Friends of Holmesdale Open Space also backed the work. Frank McNeil, chairman of the group, said, "We're pleased that the project is taking shape and has opened up the area so people know that open space is here and they can use it for family leisure activities." The fun day will be held at the open space on Sunday and will feature face painting, a bouncy castle and other attractions. Councillor Chris Bond, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "We've taken a rundown, underused, tatty open space and transformed it into an area which families can enjoy. This is a brilliant example of how volunteers, councils and national organisations can and should work together to improve the quality of life of residents. It's taken us a while, but we got there in the end, and everyone is delighted with the results of all of the hard work that has been done."
The Environment Agency says that more than 1,000 homes in the borough will have their risk of being flooded reduced thanks to a new scheme. Riverbanks will be raised between Plevenor Road and Montague Road, Edmonton, resulting in 1,400 homes being put out of immediate danger of flooding. A new drain under Montague Road, an elevation of earth banks at Montague Recreation Ground, will also be implemented by the £15 million Salmons Brook Flood Alleviation Scheme, which has been launched by Edmonton MP Andy Love. Steve Whipp, Flood and Coastal Risk Advisor at the Environment Agency, said, We're pleased that this scheme to significantly reduce the risks of homes flooding in Edmonton is underway and will improve the local environment for people and wildlife. The work will take until 2015 to complete. We will liaise closely with the local communities to minimise any inconvenience and maintain public access to parts of the open spaces where we're not working. The agency says the scheme will reduce the risk of flooding for people living in Salmons Brook from a 1 in 20 chance to a 1 in 75 chance in any 1 year.
Forget the Tour de France. An Enfield man has been cycling between branches of his employer to raise cash for a cancer charity. Billy Donnelly of Enfield teamed up with 8 colleagues to complete a 60-mile marathon around the warehouses of their place of work, Selco. The ride, now being dubbed the Tour de Selco, started and finished at their Tottenham site, passing through Enfield, Walthamstow, Barking and Romford. Workers managed to raise more than £6,500 for Macmillan Cancer Support, which will be put towards the overall target of £100,000 raised in 2013 by Selco. Paul Neary, Selco's North East London regional manager and fellow bike rider, said, "It was a great day and we are all thrilled with the amount of money raised. Plenty of training went in before the event and it was fantastic that all the hard work paid off. While there was some pain along the way, I think everyone enjoyed it and we are already in the planning stage of arranging another cycling charity event later in the year."
Plans to redevelop a former town hall will be delayed after a serious administrative error appeared to more than double the cost of renovation. Enfield Borough Council's Overview and Scrutiny Committee uncovered the error in a report analysing the reconstruction of Southgate Town Hall into affordable housing. The report said the hall was to be sold for £2.05 million and the cost of renovating the site was £1.85 million, giving a minimal profit margin of only £200,000. The real expenditure figure was supposed to be £715,000, but due to the substantial mistake, the report had to be withdrawn. Pardon me. Councillor Andrew Stafford, Cabinet Member for Finance and Property, said the error was regrettable. However, we have only lost 14 days planning, which will be used to make sure everything is 100% transparent and put even more detail into the plans. Councillor Terry Neville said it was an irresponsible act to sign off a report with such an error. The man who deals with the finances of our borough has signed off this totally preposterous deal.
A primary school marked its 60th year with a fantastic funfair in the glorious sunshine. Walker Primary School held the 1950s themed fete to raise hundreds of pounds for the school and to mark 6 decades since it first opened in Waterfall Road, Southgate. Head teacher Liz Wincop is stepping down at the end of term and said the event, organised by the Friends of Walker School Association, was a fitting send-off after her 13 years in her post. She said, "The association has been phenomenal in everything it has done for the school and for me personally. We really are a family here, and when you look around at the events like this, it just shows how much it means to everyone. This is the community of Walker School, and it is a great way to sign off." A classic Ford Mustang stole the show amongst a number of stalls and games as organisers and visitors got on board with the theme and dressed in 1950s gear, including a number of pink ladies from the movie Grease. Hannah Walker, chairman of Friends of Walker School, said, "It has been a really relaxed, fun and exciting afternoon. The weather could not have been better. It is a big annual fundraiser and it pays for some of the essential resources, but this has been a great way to mark 60 years. Among the visitors was Daphne Gunn, a pupil at the school soon after it opened in 1954. She said, The field doesn't seem nearly as big these days, and it's nice to be back. It is such a friendly, vibrant event, and everyone is so welcoming. It's great to see the school thriving."
This is a letter from G.A. Musey of Mitchell Road, Palmer's Green. Re-poison fears over North Circular fumes, which was in the advertiser on June the 26th. It's no surprise that the North Circular is the most polluted road in London. Excessive traffic pollution is caused by traffic overcrowding, travelling at slow speed and queuing at traffic lights, road junctions and roundabouts. In the 1980s and 90s, the Department of Transport planned 13 projects to improve and widen the road along its length from the East London River crossing to the Chiswick roundabout. They would have created free-running traffic with the aid of underpasses and flyovers, producing less pollution. 6 projects were completed. Local examples are the Cambridge Roundabout and the Angel Edmonton. Project number 8, Green Lanes to Bounds Green Road, was awaiting approval when responsibility for London's major roads was passed to the new Mayor of London, which was Ken Livingstone. He cancelled the remaining projects on grounds of cost and necessity. The current Mayor, Boris Johnson, has now provided a people-friendly development which includes an additional traffic lane along Telford Road, more controlled pedestrian crossings, some changes to road junction layout and a bus lane east of Green Lanes. Bowes Road remains the same width. We still have stop-go traffic and the bus lane causes traffic congestion. No serious attention has been given to the traffic flow, and the opportunity to widen the road has been lost by bringing back into use the derelict houses earmarked for that purpose. Lack of foresight by City Hall has condemned residents to a future environment poisoned with toxic fumes. To provide a development that makes pollution worse and then issue a report condemning the area is deplorable.
Well, I can top Walker's 60 years with Hounsfield School's 110th year. Children step back in time for lessons to celebrate their school's 110th anniversary. Pupils at Hounsfield School in Ripon Road, Edmonton, experienced a throwback to old methods of teaching in which chalkboards were prominent and left-handers discouraged. Staff also got involved, donning Edwardian outfits to apply the stricter regime. Head teacher Emma Lakin said the reason behind it was to give them a flavour of what it would be like in those days. The children have been separated into boys and girls in some classes and have designed their own badges to commemorate our 110th year. Organiser and teacher Hannah Brenton said, the children have had a great time. They have been rote learning, and I have even made them sing God Save the King and recite the British monarchs, which would have been part of a curriculum a century ago. Pupil Rosie Mampassi, 9, said, we have been learning about King Edward, so our teachers were trying to make us think of how different school was back then to how it is now. And fellow student Kalia Brown Hazelwood, also 9, much preferred modern and more moderate levels of discipline. She said, it is very different because the teachers are stricter. I would much rather be at school now than back then.
Former Labour MP Joan Ryan has been reselected to fight for her old Enfield North constituency at the next general election. The Labour candidate lost her seat to Conservative and incumbent MP Nick Dubois at the last election in 2010 by a majority of 1,920 votes. The 58-year-old from Warrington had claimed the seat of Enfield North at the 1997 elections after defeating Conservative Mark Field by a 6,812 majority. In 2009, Mrs. Ryan was caught up in the expenses scandal when reportedly claiming thousands of pounds for repairs to her Enfield home. The next general election is expected to take place on May the 7th, 2015.
This year's festival promises plenty of magic moments with live music from Misha Paris, Brendan Power and Mantika. There'll be fab food stalls offering artisan pizzas, hog roasts and Caribbean cuisine. You can also join the Fairy Queen Trail, storytelling, crafts, or unwind at the Atlantis Holistic Hollow with natural therapy stalls. Or why not dust off your wand and take part in the Magical Menagerie Parade, leaving Pims Park on Sunday, July the 14th at 1 p.m. Contact information is the email I'm reading now. info@artstart.org.uk or ring 0208 345 5369. You'll be pleased to know that entry to the festival is free. If you would like to take part in the children's craft activities, you can purchase a £5 per day wristband with unlimited access for that day. Price includes all materials. To book a stall at the festival, please contact Lynn Saunders on 07982 824 230. For more about Spellbound and other great festivals in Enfield, please visit www.enfieldfestivals.com.
And we have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.